As always is the case in Knicks Nation, as the world turns, never a dull moment. Yeah, we're here for Summer League, but the rumors are swirling. The smoke, the stove is getting hotter. The smoke is there. Leon wants to bring the Spider home, man. And I got a chance to see Leon, Tibbs, Jim Dolan at the games, and the whole CAA mafia. Rick Brunson. Everybody's there looking real chummy, looking real happy here in Las Vegas, and maybe they know something. Maybe they know something because, as we've heard, the Knicks and the Jazz are talking Donovan Mitchell, man. They're talking Donovan Mitchell. The Spider has been made available by the Utah Jazz. Danny Ainge, the owner Ryan Smith, D-Wade, that whole contingent. Look, they're looking to rebuild. And we saw that with the Gobert trade, sending Gobert to the Timberwolves, and now the Spider is available. And we talked about this yesterday, the pros and the cons of a Donovan Mitchell trade. And, I gave you guys my perspective. My perspective is this. If you're not putting R.J. Barrett in a deal for Donovan Mitchell, you got to pull the trigger. Obviously, it's not a by any means necessary situation, but you got to go get this guy. This is a 25-year-old, three-time All-Star. 24 points per game in the regular season, ups it to damn near 30 in the postseason. He's a guy who you want the ball in his hands in pressure situations. Now, the numbers kind of speak to the contrary. Last year in the clutch, he wasn't so clutch shooting. 37% field goal percentage, 22 from three. That wasn't so great in the clutch. His assist numbers were up. So as a playmaker, he's going to make it happen. And he's still a guy that defenses has to respect. They have to know where he is. They have to account for the threat that is Donovan Mitchell because he's still efficient at the mid-range, still efficient at the rim. And that's something that we just don't have, an element that we just don't have. 25 years old. Took his team to the playoffs 4 years in a row. In the West. They were the number one seed in the West last year. You got to make that move. Another reason why you have to make that move is what this regime has showed us through the hiring of Tom Thibodeau, a coach who wants to win right now, in a market like New York. Starving to compete, starving to contend. They're not just going to go through the draft. They've been patient. They've been building through the draft and getting quality picks late, finding value late. But ultimately, Leon Rose was brought in here to bring in that star. And with the signing of a Jalen Brunson and what they did at the draft, punting to acquire more picks down the road, it signaled to us that they're not going to build this thing through the draft. It is going to be via trade. Maybe you're able to free up cap down the road and get some free agents. But with Brunson in here, a lot of you guys were questioning the direction of the team. Are we headed to no man's land? And it's a legit question to ask. So with that being said, if we're not going to build this thing through the top of the draft, where, in my opinion, the superstars are. Not guaranteed, but for the most part, look at history. That's where they are. If we're not going to be bad enough to be in that position, you got to take a swing. And even though the fit is questionable, even though the questions about the defense are there, all valid, you got to take a swing. If you're going to bring in a Brunson here, you're going to commit to RJ. And guess what? A 25-year-old Mitchell, a 22-year-old RJ, a young Jalen Brunson, that's still a young team. And if you have to part with some of your young role players, so be it. If you have to part with some of the many draft picks that you have, you got to pay to play. The hope is that you still have depth. You still have some youngsters here that can help you compete. And getting Spider Mitchell here isn't the end-all, be-all, right? This isn't the move where we expect to just jump to the top three of the East. Let's just be realistic. That's not going to happen either. However, it is still a stepping stone to build. Yes, the fit with Brunson is questionable. It is still a stepping stone to build because you have Spider Mitchell in tow. Whether you want to argue he's going to be a 1A, 1B, maybe he can bring in the next guy. Maybe he can bring in that next guy to pair up with RJ and see where you can go. It's a start. You know, a lot of you guys are knocking this guy, his defense, Brunson exposed him, this, that, and the third. I feel like we're grasping at straws. How many times are we going to sit back and wait? How many times? Let's wait for LeBron. Let's wait for KD, Kyrie. Let's wait for Zion. Let's wait for this guy. Let's wait. They don't come. They're not always available. If you have the opportunity to go get Spider Mitchell, you go get him and go get him now. If the price is right. And if we're not putting RJ in that deal, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Some people say this is, the Melo deal all over again. I don't really see it like that. Because when we did the Melo deal, yes, we gutted our depth. We didn't have a young draft pick that was still here with us to pair with Melo. Yes, we did get Porzingis later on, and obviously things fizzled out there. Melo wasn't here to realize the Porzingis goals. And to me, a big issue with the Melo trade wasn't that, we gutted the depth. Yes, that was part of it, but Amari Stoudemire being a max contract and not being available to help this team rapidly declining over the course of his contract, that hurt the team a lot. Nevertheless, they still made the playoffs several years during Melo's tenure here. So I don't necessarily see it as a Melo trade all over again, depending on what you give up. But the point is, if you have the opportunity to get Mitchell here, you go get him. Because it's not guaranteed. Some people say, well, the fit's questionable. Wait until another star can come here. That's not guaranteed either. And by the time that comes, think about some of the other teams in the league that have the leverage and the better younger players and the better draft capital, the Houston Rockets. When Sam Presti wakes up and decides to make OKC a winner again, when will he consolidate some of his many young premium picks? Maybe that'll come. I spoke to somebody here connected to the league at Summer League, talked about Presti, and he said, yeah, we're sitting there watching Chet and Giddey run roughshod out there. Nice combo. And the guy said, yeah, these are nice guys, but when will Presti actually be looking to win? Orlando with Paolo. There's going to be teams. It's not just going to be the Knicks that are going to be sitting there with capital and young players to go get a guy. So now you have an opportunity to bring your hometown kid back home where he wants to be. Look at all the evidence. I mean, the guy's walking around here with New York everything. He's showing up in the Mets game with Mets gear. He's at the Rangers game. He's at the Rucker Park. He's on a flight to Vegas yesterday in New York Liberty gear. And shout out to Red Holtzman, part of Knicks Twitter community, whose cousin was on that flight with the Spider, who did ask him if he's coming to the Knicks, and Spider's response was, we'll see. So clearly, there's something there. Salute to Knicks Nation, man. We got 2,000 people in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We're in the Blue Wire studio. Shout out to my Blue Wire guys in the back room. Check out the backdrop, man. We're loaded in here. This is Vegas. This is Vegas. Go hard or go home, man. So definitely shout out to everybody who's here to put this together. But this is just the start of the show.